And today's video is brought to you by The Extraordinary Journey of Black Nerds. Geek responsibly.
What's good, interweb? I'm your man Q, back with some more of, well, this is not really technically news. Watched the direct last week, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, after all the excitement, after all the smoke is cleared, after everything has been said and done, I got to thinking about Final Fantasy and how they had all these Final Fantasies, yet there was no Final Fantasy VIII. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, yes, Quentin, what the hell is up with the hate and just the general disrespect for Final Fantasy VIII? Quentin, I don't know. I'm super confused. I don't understand what the hate or the disrespect is for Final Fantasy VIII and, what they're doing at Square Enix. Now, I'm not going to be upset too much because we've got Final Fantasy X, X-2, Crystal Chronicles coming out, even the Pocket Edition of Final Fantasy 15, as well as my favorite Final Fantasy, which is Final Fantasy 7. I would like to have seen a 6, but, 12, they've got their Zodiac Age is coming out for the Switch and the Xbox One as well. So I'm loving that, and I know I'm missing a couple games that I haven't said in the said. Oh, also Final Fantasy 9. But where's Final Fantasy 8? And for that matter, where the hell is Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo Mini? You know what? That's a video for another day. Right now, I'm still tripping off of where's my boy Squall and where's my girl Renault. Final Fantasy 8 dropped way back in the day in 1999. Memories. It's a mix of a coming-of-age story with some Romeo and Juliet elements, of course, with a fantasy feel to it. Way back when Square was Square and not the merger with Square Enix. This is when they couldn't do no wrong. And in fact, at that time, they still had the dream team of directors, producers, and music composers and all that, from Sakagachi to Uematsu and Nojima. And woo! That was an all-star cast, and that was right at the time where Tetsuro Naruma, who did Kingdom Hearts, the art and the art for Final Fantasy VII, was just trying to make his way up in the world when it came to Square and being in the video game industry. So it got me to thinking, I'm going to reiterate it again, why the hate and disrespect for Final Fantasy VIII? Maybe it's the timing? I don't know. Final Fantasy VIII always gets the snub. It's not just from this new Xbox and Nintendo Switch. It's been getting the snub on the PlayStation Store for a minute. Everything else is in the store and on Steam, or have a remastered HD Ultra Edition with the hard case. Even 12, which, I love 12, but I'm tired of seeing so much 12. We got the Zodiac Age that just came out, and now we're going to do it again. Even though I am going to buy it for the Switch, but you know what? Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I've been saying this for years, and I could be wrong, but it seems like it's on this page. Is Final Fantasy VIII should have been Final Fantasy 9, and 9 should have been 8, because it came so close to my boy's Cloud coming out, and they had similar personalities with kind of being aloof and then being badasses, but also, signify them for their weapons, which were Cloud's being the Buster Blade, and then Squall's being the Gun Blade. And Final Fantasy 9 was more of a old school Final Fantasy game. That should have been the one that came out as 8, because if it did, then it wouldn't have looked so much like it was trying to copy 7. It's not like my dude Squall is no chump either, mind you. I already mentioned that the dude had a Gunblade, and he actually put the Gunblade on the map. If y'all remember, it was a game called Wild Arms 2, and it came out the same year after Final Fantasy 8, but came out the same year as Final Fantasy 8, and the lead dude's name was Ashley, and he had a Gunblade, and he wasn't that bad, he wasn't that sloppy, but Squall had the Gunblade on lock. Matter of fact, the Gunblade is still on lock characters in 8 are really fleshed out. Some of the best characterization in the Final Fantasy, because it's only 6 characters for them to build an entire story around. And it's controversy, but the story and the whole game of 7, in my opinion, is better than Final Fantasy 8. However, it's more detail and emphasis to detail when it comes to the characters in Final Fantasy 8. I'm not sure if it's because that's when they changed the anatomy and had it more where, you know, giving that humanistic vibe rather than, you know, previous Final Fantasies like 7 and all those before anime or cartoony type feel. As a matter of fact, one of the other things that Final Fantasy 8 started was the whole human anatomy. After Final Fantasy 8, maybe in 9, they went back to it a little bit, which goes back to my point where Final Fantasy 8 should have been Final Fantasy 9 because their anatomy was very cartoony, and Final Fantasy 8 wasn't. And ever since Final Fantasy 8, well, no other person's anatomy has been, you know, shrunken unless it's a Final Fantasy like Tactics or Tactics Advance or something. The game also boasted some new elements that has never been done in a Final Fantasy, and maybe that's the reason that it's getting the snub, because most Final Fantasies revolve around magic and or a magic user or a magic ancient race or something in that effect, while Final Fantasy 8 had these things called GFs or guardian forces, which are kind of like deities, and they were the people who gave the magic to the people, but they didn't give it directly to them. You had to equip one of the guardian forces, and once you did that, then you were able to draw from these different monsters certain, you know, abilities and or magic. I didn't like it at first, but you know what? It actually wasn't that bad. It made magic, you know, more or less about the what you leveling up, well, to who you're fighting and where you're going to fight these particular enemies at. It also gave me the ability to make Squall like an ice water type character, and then make Selphie something like wind or lightning, and you know, it gave you the ability to set your own customization while still in the parameters of being a Final Fantasy. I liked it, and you know what? I thought everybody else did too. So why the snub? Maybe it's this whole Squall is dead theory, you know, from after he got hit by Edea with the whole ice glacier. For those of y'all that have played it, and if you haven't, I gave you a spoiler alert. After disc 1 where he got stabbed in the upper region of his chest, looked like his heart, and he was out, and then all of a sudden he woke up in prison and everything was okay. That theory was that after that, he died, and at the end of the game, that's why he wasn't able to see his face, because he was a whole dream, and that's the reason that all these weird things and creatures happened and stuff when it came to the gardens and everything else. Is that the reason that they don't want to, you know, give any love to Final Fantasy VIII? Because, you know, it's a little too realistic, it's a little too far-fetched, but then again, I mean, Zidane was basically Goku, and then Kuja was Vegeta from Gaia and Terra from Planet. He had a monkey tail, for crying out loud. He had a monkey tail, for crying out loud. Final Fantasy VIII altogether worldwide has sold over 6 million units and is still considered today by some of my friends and fans alike to be better than Final Fantasy VII, or even their favorite of the whole genre of Final Fantasies and RPGs in general. So what is with this snub? I'm really perplexed. I'm really tripping out of having one of the best female protagonists as well as one of the better protagonists. Why aren't they getting representation? We're not even asking as fans for them to remaster a Final Fantasy VIII, even though I love them to remaster a Final Fantasy VIII. But we're just asking for it to be on the PlayStation Store, on the Switch, on the Xbox. Can we just play the game again? Do I have to go and plug up my PlayStation 1 or my PlayStation 3 to play it? I don't understand. Let me know. Am I missing something? You know, is it something that I'm overlooking in a web? Is it a certain rhyme or reason to why Square Enix is, you know, snubbing Final Fantasy VIII, one of their better titles, because 8, let me just tell y'all, if you haven't played 8, well, shit, again, I just gave you a spoiler. But in my opinion, 8 is a much better game than Final Fantasy 13. It's just a whole better game. Matter of fact, I like it better than Final Fantasy 12. But that's my opinion. But what do you guys think? What do you ladies think? What do y'all think? Let me know in the comment section below, because I would love to know some information. Maybe somebody got an inside scoop on why. So, why? But as always in the web, this has been your man Q, your friendly neighborhood geek. If you did like this video, go ahead and make sure you hit that like button. And if you're new to my channel, and you want to stay up to date on all things Final Fantasy and RPGs, that's right, RPGs, and all things games, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. And until next time, interweb, I'll holler at y'all later. Peace!